Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om 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 Yeah.
Connected. She gave them the password.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Hari Om, Hari Om. Yes, what is to be shared today?
Sri Krishna talks about Swadharma in Gita.
You can come in. Sri Krishna talks about Swadharma in Gita.
So, how do we know what is my Swadharma?
When we keep on trying to involve ourselves in various activities, that clarity will come to us wherever we feel comfortable, For example, one person in Bangalore, his parents insisted that he should become a chartered accountant. Much against his wishes, he started doing it. He must have completed about 2 years, something like that. Suddenly his uncle came and told his parents, I want him to do medicine. He was immediately happy. And he went through medicine, he's a doctor, he's a practicing now. So how do we know? When we keep on trying, first one, certain things, we get it through our parents, our traditions, our some. Then we know what is our Swadharma. Otherwise, whenever we do something, suddenly we find the inner alignment is not there. So then we go along with it. It can be interpreted in any ways. This is how we interpret it, Swadharma. Because there is no norm, fixed norm. This is your Swadharma. Many people try and then they find this is not the way. Initially we start with something, but we find we are misfit or we don't get connected. Then we try, and once we get our own, we get fixed there. So the only norm is we will get inner connection, where we feel quite comfortable. A carpenter's son, when he has been observing his father doing his work, he develops this inner inclination, aptitude for that, and he continues. Because mentally he is involving, Many such people we have seen. A puppet making parent, they have got puppet making son. A lawyer's son, lawyer becoming. An agriculturist, an agriculturist. But an agriculturist son need not become an agriculturist. Many people after their college education choose some other vocation. But we have also seen somebody, though with all the education, they continue to be enjoying the agriculture. So there are so many factors which make us aware of our own Swadharma, number one. And there are other aspects also, in the Varnashrama Dharma. For any institution, there should be the managerial class, the security to take care, the working class, the intelligent class, There are so many. Then only the company as such will proceed. Not that somebody is inferior, somebody is superior. So through my own Varnashrama Dharma, I will be able to know what exactly is my Dharma. That is also there. A priest's son becomes a priest. Because right from childhood he has been and seeing his father doing it. And somehow he gets aligned with it, he develops it. If he chooses some other path, he will be a misfit. Suppose he takes up business, it will be a failure. Whereas a businessman, that is why in most cases we find, the parents encourage their young next generation to take them with them so that they will understand. Not necessarily that they should follow. But these are all attempts by which we try to learn about Swadharma. Wherever we have tried, there is no fixed definition for Swadharma. Swadharma is in the nature of duty to be performed while the other two principles are to be understood. 3 cardinal principles have been enunciated in the 2nd chapter. First is Atman is deathless, indivisible. Second, the body is insignificant and transient. Third is Swadharma must be followed. I have already said something about Swadharma. For each of us, Swadharma is given. Given means quotation. It comes to us naturally. We do not have to go out looking for it. We did not, as it were, drop from the sky. We are part of a stream of existence. Society, parents, neighbors, all existed before our birth. To serve the parents who gave me life, to serve the society in which I was born, is my natural dharma. Our Swadharma thus takes birth along with us. It can be said that it is already there for us before our birth. In fact, fulfillment of the Swadharma is the very purpose behind our birth. So some people say that Swadharma is like one's wife and say that the bond of Swadharma is as inviolable and indissoluble as the bond of marriage. But I do not think that this simile is quite opposite. I would rather say that Swadharma, like one's mother, is not chosen but by predetermined. No matter what sort of person she is, there is no denying her motherhood. This is precisely the case that with Swadharma. In this world, we have nothing else to rely on. To disown one's own Swadharma is to disown oneself, to commit suicide. Only in harmony with it can we move forward. That is why we should never lose sight of. Swadharma should in fact come easily, naturally. But because of several temptations and delusions, this does not happen or becomes extremely difficult. If it is practiced, the practice gets vitiated. The temptations and delusions which strew from the thorns of the path of Swadharma have various forms. However, on analysis we find only one thing at the bottom of all. A restricted and shallow identification of oneself with one's body, I, and those related to me through the body, set the limits of my expansion. Those outside the circle are aliens or enemies. Besides, the attachment is restricted to only physical bodies of the I and mind. Caught in this double trap, we start putting up all sorts of little walls. Almost everyone does this. The sizes of the enclosures may vary, but they are all enclosures all the same. And they are not thicker than one's own skin. But one man's enclosure is the family, another is the nation. One wall divides the so-called upper and lower castes, another divides the people on the basis of religion. Wherever you turn yourself, you see nothing but such walls. Even in this jail, we differentiate between ordinary convicts and political prisoners. It is as if we cannot live without such walls. We revel in living in puddles. But what does this result to? Only in the multiplication of germs of mean and vicious thoughts and destruction of the healthy state of Swadharma. So from this, duty is also considered as Swadharma. So I think probably we can split it like this. Duties are there and also our vocation. Again, Vinobaji says, the Gita values this philosophy so much that it enunciates it at the very outset and only thereafter brings in the concept of Swadharma. Some people wonder why such abstruse philosophical theorems are there at the very beginning. But to me it seems that there are many verses in the Gita whose place cannot at all be changed. Then these are such verses. If this philosophy is imprinted on the mind, it will be easy to follow our Swadharma. In fact, it will be difficult to follow something else, that the self is eternal and indivisible and the body is worthless and transient is not difficult to comprehend, as it is the truth, but it needs to be reflected upon continuously in the mind. We should train ourselves to belittle the body, exalt the self. He has elaborately discussed about this. So each one has to feel. I think ultimately it zeroes to wherever we are comfortable. No? That is our Swadharma. A seeker after truth should avoid the bylanes of adharma and paradharma, which is not, and take to the natural and straight path of Swadharma and never waver from it. In Bhagavad Gita, many a time this comes, Swadharma. What does Jnaneshwar Bhagavan say? Any clear-cut idea? No.
Verses from Gita.
In somewhere he says, devotion is the Swadharma of the devotee. His art of living lies in ensuring that the devotion does not get distracted by the lure of other worldly gains. Right from our childhood, this question was coming, but then we knew that the mind unknowingly feels comfortable with certain traditions, not comfortable with certain traditions. So we follow our tradition. For example, vegetarianism. Though we don't belittle or condemn other systems, other food, we stick to our own. So in anything and everything, wherever we are comfortable, we don't say that you should be like that, you should be like that. Wherever we are comfortable, in every walk of life. That means that is my own Swadharma, getting aligned with it mentally. It is not imposed on me by anything else. This is what we used to always define as Swadharma. We'll do some more thinking. Anything else?
Swamiji.
No.
Ahimsa is our Swadharma.
Eh?
Ahimsa is our Swadharma. Right?
Ahimsa, yes.
அது மாதிரி நம்ம எல்லாருக்கும் இன்னும் நிறைய இருக்கு இல்லையா Swadharma.
The ruler has got his own Swadharma, no? To protect us. Yeah. So then whatever that comes to us, the vocation.
It can be a duty also.
Eh?
Swadharma means it's my duty.
It can be termed as duty also.
The way devotee's duty is to devotion, same way students.
Primarily it comes, but that Swadharma is common to all, no? Duty towards my parents, duty towards my country, duty towards my company, profession, those are all there. So this is a very broad subject. You cannot limit it to a particular one. Finally, it zeroes to this. We will find misfits there. No? We cannot explain the why and whereof. But finally, where the inner alignment is, there God will put us mysteriously. In what way He does, we cannot say. It's a subject on which we have to do a lot of thinking and looking back at our own life, so that it doesn't become a textual guidance, our own guidance. But God has guided us so far. Anything else?
Atmananda is objectless happiness.
Eh?
Atmananda is objectless happiness.
Amam. Bliss.
Bliss. Bliss absolute.
Bliss is objectless happiness. These are all words only. Only when we experience it, we will be able to understand it. Yeah, it cannot be expressed also. Because anything that is dependent upon an object, that is how our mind has been trained. Even when we say objectless happiness, it is still a statement. Whereas the experience is beyond expressions. So to some extent we can understand all those things. We have experienced this objectless happiness, and we have to recollect that and then try to understand. In everybody's life, there have been some moments when the joy comes, I won't say joy, a pleasant feeling wells up. In the absence of objects. So we try to connect ourselves with those moments. A few years ago, one person who has been coming here from 80s, 70s, 80s, he came to our room and said, I started coming here, and then one day I was staying in L building during Mataji's period. And suddenly I had a wonderful experience. Did not want to get out of it, but after some time, after a few days, it started tapering. And then my whole attempt is to get back to that. I have not been able to. Even now when I remember it, the mind wells up, but doesn't get stabilized. We no other suffix or prefix. So at that time we showed this definition, Papa's definition. That is why we remembered and brought it when we brought out a small booklet called Nama Leads. The last page of the Nama Leads. How does the Nama lead from stage to stage? When Papa prompted us to bring it out, the last page, if you look at it, you have got a Nama Lead. This particular expression came. This is where the Nama takes us finally. Nama is something like a bus. It takes us almost to the destination, but not to the destination. I have almost a destination, and after some time it will ask us to get down. And then it will show, this way you go.
Mama, let's see.
When japa coupled with inward journey is continued with greater intensity and with the proper perspective, we have been assured by Papa that the Nama will take us to the Nischala Tattva and enabling us to merge in love absolute. Virat Papa asserts, you have to repeat, chant or sing the name, no doubt, for a certain period. After that, repetition must cease. The mind must become perfectly still. In that stillness, duality is transcended. The repeated and the repeated, the devotee and God become one. Virat Papa describes the final experience as objectless happiness. A state where the mind stops craving for or moving towards the external objects and all the senses are directed inward. This is Atmananda. I think today, now that you have pointed out, we will read this first, from the first to last. In the initial phases of our sadhana, beloved Papa Swami Ramdas asks us to chant the holy and all-powerful divine name as much as possible, since the name is God Himself, and chanting the name with total faith and devotion enables the chanter to realize his oneness with the Supreme. To those who have simple faith or those who wholeheartedly take to this chanting, to the exclusion of all other activities, this may be enough. But to those who are exposed to so many thoughts on spirituality and involved in multivarious activities, the chanting exercise may become a mere ritual, especially in the initial stages. However, our faith in the Guru will help us pursue the chanting and gradually develop a liking for the name and the rhythm, making the chanting session joyous. However, we are unable to sustain the feeling of that joy when chanting is stopped. The question now is, how can this feeling be sustained? For this, we can ask ourselves, am I experiencing joy because of the absence of routine thoughts? When we go for a movie, when we read a novel, when we go for a performance or programs or even a lecture, there we forget ourselves, And we say it's very nice. What does it mean? Is it because there is a diversion from your routine thoughts? So am I experiencing joy because of the absence of routine thoughts, or is communion with God the source of this joy? Only I will know that. Feeling of communion with God may be very difficult, as unlike any individuals or objects, God cannot be brought within the ambit of anything that we know. So the mind has to hold on to something which it can dwell on. Bringing the attributes of God and the words of Lord Papa to our mind may help us feel His presence while chanting, develop a closeness with Him, which in turn may help us sustain the joy. God is within me. God is bliss, purity, peace. God is knowledge, love, compassion, forgiveness. God dwells in all beings, creatures and things. God is the one truth and one reality. God fills all spheres and planes of life. My body, mind, senses, intellect, soul are all God's. I am God's very image. God is love absolute, truth, stillness, silence, peace, bliss, consciousness. He is without name and form. He has manifested as the entire universe, and yet He is also beyond it. Like that, we keep on. Efforts are now made to focus on any one of His attributes so as to get some clarity on the expression God. The Master says that if we can understand even one of His attributes, we will be able to experience His other facets. Of all His attributes, love is the easiest one to understand because loving our mother was our first expression, that too without any external motivation. It welled up naturally in us and was spontaneous. Through our spiritual growing up, we later realized that love absolute is impersonal, that is, it extends to all alike. As our feeling towards our mother and kith and kin was conditional and limited to a small circle, we begin to understand that it was perhaps not love but attachment. This revelation prompts us to better understand the characteristic of love absolute. Intellectually, we come to know that love absolute means the absence of otherness, which signifies unbounded love and expresses through unconditional service towards all alike. An inquiring mind would slowly look at the characteristics of the 5 elements of Mother Nature, with which we are all made: earth, air, water, space, fire, of which we are all made up. None of them specify the beneficiaries, nor do they stipulate any condition as to how they can be used. So is the case with sun, plants and trees. Apart from Mother Nature, society also provides us with all creature comforts, which are also expressions of love and service. Those who invented or discovered the amenities that make our life comfortable did not keep either the technology or the resultant product for themselves, but gave it for the use of all without specifying the beneficiary. We will also realize that the characteristics of the raw material are present in the finished products. So, though we may not be aware of it, the characteristics of the 5 elements of Mother Nature, unbounded love and unconditional service, are our characteristics too, as we owe our existence to these 5 elements. Nama chanting coupled with an inquiring mind will make us intellectually aware of the truth that at the core of our being is unbounded love and unconditional service, and that all creations also love and serve us unconditionally. Contemplating thus, our hearts will be filled with reverence and gratitude toward the creation. This will slowly replace grumblings and complaints, which may be our normal attitude. This revelation paves the way for us to feel the presence of the Creator in the form of love through the creation. When we pursue Namajapa with this dimension, we will also start to realize that everyone and everything in the creation are interconnected and interdependent. No one can arrogate that he or she can exist without the help of other creation. Therefore, each one has to do one's part with an attitude of paying back. That is why beloved Papa said, the liberation and peace of the individual is surely based upon, this is a very important quotation, the liberation and peace of an individual is surely based upon his or her contribution towards the collective human happiness and harmony. When we dwell on these thoughts, slowly a process sets in where self-centeredness, meaning the me and mine factor, will become less and less prominent. We will realize that spirituality is nothing but living in harmony with and feeling gratitude towards the rest of the creation. The following words of beloved Papa sum up these thoughts in a very inspiring manner. To love all is the true bhakti of God. To serve all is the real worship of God. Ultimately, it will become possible for us to understand the import of beloved Papa's words. Love is the expression of God. To realize love is to realize God. Here L is, L stands for the capital L. Not the love that we have understood as love. God is all-pervading and is seated in the hearts of all beings, creatures and things. To love all is to be in tune with God, to become conscious of our perfect oneness with every form of manifestation in the universe. Love becomes love only when it is applied in the form of service. Beloved Papa said that service is the perfume of life. Such service will, of course, be spontaneous in nature and not a product of a thought process. As we travel further with the Nama, it becomes clear that in order to sustain the feeling of oneness, apart from the intellectual knowledge, we must start feeling our inner content, and for this we should begin our inward journey. Beloved Papa says, utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. So we have been assured that the chanting will slowly arrest all dissimilar thought currents and the mind concentrates on the name, leading to stillness. Subsequently, we have been assured that the source from which thoughts emanate, which is also nothing but stillness, will be experienced. To get stabilized in this state, it is imperative that our outer actions are in line with our inner aspiration. Meaning, the mind must gradually become pure. This pursuit will enable us to evaluate whether we are able to sustain the experience during the inward journey even after we come out of it. It is something like our learning to ride the bicycle. When once we have the balance, we will never lose it. We then become aware that all thoughts arise out of the source of our being, stillness or silence. Even the very act of repeating the name also owes its origin to the stillness within. Suddenly it will dawn on us that whatever is outside is nothing but a projection or extension of the self, thus helping us to know that whatever term we may use, like stillness, silence, love, they all mean one and the same. When we recognize the fact that the world is a mere projection of ourself, we will be able to accept everything as it is in its own place without choosing one thing rather than another. Beloved Papa says, spirituality that cannot be applied in actual life is no spirituality. God is in the world and is acting through every one of us. God realization does not mean disappearing into some unknown realm beyond the world. True spirituality consists in our living in this world, moving in it, serving all beings, all the time being conscious of the divine within us, everywhere around us. When japa, coupled with inward journey, is continued with greater intensity and with the proper perspective, we have been assured by beloved Papa that Nama will take us to the Nishchara Tattva state, stillness state, and enabling us to merge in love absolute. Beloved Papa asserts you have to repeat, chant or sing the name, no doubt for a certain period. After that, repetition must cease. Mind must become perfectly still. In that stillness, duality is transcended. The repeated and the repeated, devotee and God become one. Beloved Papa describes the final experience as objectless happiness, a state where the mind stops craving for or moving toward the external objects and all the senses are directed inward. So, make your faith in the name quite unshakable and repeat the name at all times. You will know in the course of time that a mysterious power within you is awakened and is infusing courage, strength and joy in all your activities. So let us cling to His glorious name with all love and faith and let Him do what He pleases with us. Ours is to realize our immortality. So this is how the small booklet, called Nama leads. How does the Nama lead us from stage to stage and finally, after purifying us, enables us to identify the sense of individuality with the Nami in us, which state is called Atmanand. Nama of the Atman. And when the chanter becomes one with the Atman, what comes out of his is called Atmanand. At this level, at the thought level, it cannot be known. But with these directions, we try to chant His name, we try to involve our activities in this manner, and then we try to take to inward journey. Through these three methods, Nam Seva Dhyan. Papa assures that this will become a reality. So whatever we do during our satsang or other activities, we are only trying to do the fine-tuning, This should be very, very clear to us as people. I want to become one with Him. I don't want this separation from Him. Yesterday we said the installed Murti and the curtain. We have intellectually understood He is there. But we are not aware because of the curtain. So somehow we should become aware of Him. And then the onus, the responsibility of running our life becomes His. We go, that is called, they say, that instrument. Servant and the master, child and the mother, all these words are used. Because we don't have to think about anything that, that is why in this ashram, Papa wanted all of us to get this, not only inwardly but also outwardly. Ashram does not plan anything. Because we have full faith in Papa's words and 90 years of solid experience. God arranges all things in His own way at the time He appoints. But individually also we have to transfer this. We are convinced, we go up to that, but we forget to remove the curtain. Only when we remove the curtain we can have his darshan, no? We know, our elders say that he is there behind that curtain. But the removal of the curtain, not, I won't say forever. The moment you remove the curtain, we become aware of his presence and then we come out. But we are always conscious that he is there. And then slowly connect up everything to him and continue the life. We start consulting him every time, initially. Until we know he is speaking through us. Mother Hamilton's quotation, you remember? One day we read out. God breathed into life, man. Please. God breathed life into man. And that very life which he breathed into you is his very self. Do you not know that he is there within you every moment? On the throne of your consciousness, on the altar of your heart. It is he who speaks to you. It is he who guides you. It is he who directs you. It is he who gives you the thoughts you think. He who clothes you and feeds you and make it possible for you to have the intelligence and energy to do whatever you want to do. He and he alone. So when we start opening the curtain and just have his vision, slowly the awakening comes. And he awakens us and all these things, come out. He takes us to the source of us. It is not a theory, it is not a tall talk. I did not think, plan, and then got into my mother's womb as a bijam, as a seed. I did not do anything during that 9.5 months to develop these organs. I did not bring anything when I came out. Like that, we start thinking. None of the creature comforts have been produced by me. None of the basic requirements like air, water, it have been produced by me. So that power is giving me, even now giving me in the form of life. So this we become aware. And then from the intellectual level, when it becomes, when it stays at the experiential level, these words come out. God breathed life into man, and that very life which he breathed into you is his very self, the prana. That is why the me and mine, it has no role in breathing. Think. You are planning to come to ashram, you have booked the train, you have come here, it's all your planning, you feel. Same thing, can you extend it to the breathing? It goes on. Even during my deep sleep, it goes on. That's what she said. God breathed life into man, and that very life which He breathed into you is His very self. Do you not know that He is there within you every moment? On the throne of your consciousness, on the altar of your heart, the head and heart, the intelligence as well as the emotions of love. It is He who speaks to you, who guides you, who directs you, who gives you the thought you think. He who clothes you and feeds you and make it possible for you to have the intelligence and energy to do whatever you want to do. He and He alone. So if we keep on thinking that we have to do the installation of Him in our heart, He is already there, but we have to do the pradishta, because so far we are not aware, So becoming aware of that can be called as pradishta. Just as God is all pervading, but still we do pradishta in a temple, For the sake of us getting awakened, reminded, made known. God is all pervading. And we take one of God's gifts like the granite stone or the marble stone and bring out a figure, and an individual like all of us, and he does this installation. Similarly, though He is there in us and everywhere around us, as we are not aware, we are installing Him in our heart. So whenever the me and mine thought comes, we don't become aware of Him. So that we can take it as the curtain. So during our pause moments, sattvic moments, satsang, we try to remove the curtain and have the benefit of His darshan. That will slowly, by prayer, by shlokas, by Ramnam. So by Ramnam we should know that we are removing the curtain. That is why Papa added, you are chanting the name of one who is within you, who is making you to chant. And then, as we have to attend to so many, we forget about this, so again the curtain is unknowingly drawn and we go out forgetting Him. Again when we get some pause moment, we go and open. So this practice, initially it will be touch and go, then slowly this practice enables us to know that only because of Him I exist. I owe my origin to Him. I have nothing independent of Him. So then I slowly start becoming subservient to Him. I love Him, I adore Him, I worship Him, I glorify Him. All these things go along with my Nama chanting. And one day, suddenly I remember, that is why the prayers are introduced. especially the two prayer which we are every day repeating it in ashram. So now we stand before, we remove the curtain and pray to the deity within, before us, who is seated within. O Lord of the universe, O Creator, Protector and Destroyer of the world, I come in all humility to thy holy feet and surrender myself entirely to thee. Deign to bless me ever with thy remembrance. O merciful divine Master, give me strength, purity and peace. Thou art seated in the hearts of all. Thou art all purity, all goodness, all love. Thou art a veritable ocean of peace and bliss. Thou art the lover of thy devotees, refuge of the helpless, Redeemer and Saviour of those who resign themselves to thee. Make me dedicate my life to thee and to thy service. By thy grace, may peace and joy always dwell in my heart. Thou art mother, master, friend and all to me. Accept me as thy child and servant. Grant me power to love thee with all my heart. Let whatever I do be a fitting offering at thy holy feet. Make me pure in thought, word and deed. I lay my mind at thy feet. Fill it always with thy remembrance. Let thy glorious light illumine my heart. O sustainer of the world, O kind and compassionate Lord, God of gods. Give me the divine vision so that I may be able to see you in all, as all. Make me ever feel thy constant fellowship. May my life be guided and controlled by thee. Thy presence be ever with me, in me, and everywhere around me. I beg of thee, I prostrate before thee, hearken to this heartfelt prayer of mine. Make me thine and thine only, for ever and ever. See the difference? When we join the program at the Bhajan Hall, if we have this perspective that he is seated within, for the moment we have removed the curtain, and the sense of individuality which is a gift of him, praise to him. And again, automatically the curtain closes, we come out. Next day also we do that. So by slowly attuning ourselves, that is why Mataji said, this ashram is a school. You have come here to learn universal love and service. So everything that is going on here, we must do the manana. Just like when we hear the text, the lessons from our teachers through the text, it is not merely reading, Reading is the first step, hearing is the first step, and then we do the manana, absorb, assimilate to the extent possible. Similarly, whatever that is Mataji has said here, we try to do the manana so that will stay with us even when we go out of this ashram. And in this undisturbed atmosphere, where we are not disturbed by household matters, professional matters, social matters, we will be able to imbibe, absorb, assimilate, become one with the theme. And with this background, when we go out of the ashram, impact of which will remain. This should not be lost sight of. Because yesterday, he revealed to us through so many words of wisdom of Papa, that we have to keep on hammering, he is within, he is within, he is within. Then only the word Mahasamadhi will become clear to us. In order to awaken us, he brought a human form and had its run, and then left the mortal coil, dropped the mortal coil. We name it as the day, we don't say date of death. We say Mahasamadhi day. Becoming one with the cosmic principle. So he is always there, he does not go anywhere. So the impersonal person. So we now try to install him again. Finally we know that even the act of installing is also blessed by him. Later on. Because our sense of agency is very much predominant. I am thinking, I am doing, I am taking. All these things I will come to know that it's all because of him that I have done. But it will take time. Similarly, even the very act of installation, even the very act of invocation, even the very act of doing Ram Nam, that's why Papa said, he is making me to chant. So everything it comes to us. That's why she said, God breathed life into man, and that very life which he breathed into you is his very self. Do you not know that he is there within you every moment? On the throne of your consciousness, on the altar of your heart. It is he who speaks to you. It is he who guides you. It is he who directs you. It is he who gives you thoughts you think. He who clothes you and feeds you and make it possible for you to have the intelligence and energy to do whatever you want to do. The other day when we were going through the Taittiriya Upanishad, he traces back the origin, no? He helps us to trace back our origin. So first, all the 5 elements. And from it the trees, plants, everything. Then the fruit. And from the fruit, the seed comes. In the seed, the creative power. So everyone takes this fruit and gets this. That is why the act of reproduction brings out a human being. Different species, when they do that, they bring out their own species. But that original seed is his. He made it. That has been beautifully brought out in the Upanishads. So we try to go back, to our own source. We need not tom-tom. We can carry on with all our activities as usual. But somewhere in the mind, we should know that he is within. And whenever he makes it possible for us to remove the curtain, have a peep into it. Have the joy of his company. And slowly try to understand that it is he who is making me to function as an individual. It is he who facilitated me to function as an individual. He is there in the form of objects, emotions, and thoughts. So Papa is slowly taking us, Let us somehow keep up this tempo. He is not forcing us to accept. Though it is he who gave us the freedom, he does not impose that you should do this. No dictum, dogma. He unfolds before us in the way in which we can understand. He doesn't say you should accept, no. Yatechasi tata guru, no. Do whatever you like. So do reflection and go. Go ahead. Same words have been used by Papa. Reflect. Nothing at the superficial level. reflect with faith and devotion. If anything is there, we will share it tomorrow. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody.
Pranam.
Pranam, pranam.